Oh, good. The pressure's on me now. Got it. Okay.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Gladys Mizrahi. I'm Commissioner of the City of Aventura, and I want to introduce my good friend, Commissioner Sally Heyman. So, Sally, thank you so much for being here. Please tell us, for those of you who do not know you, and I don't know who doesn't know you, a little bit about your background, a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity in a crazy time where we communicate electronically instead of in person. It's difficult for all of us, but we mask up and we're safe and healthy, so it's what we do. I'm Sally Heyman. I'm a county commissioner elected to District 4, which is Northeast Dade. So when I vote, I represent Miami-Dade County. When you vote, you have to live in my district if it's for me. It's 13 cities, and I've been proud to hold this position since 2002. And prior to that, I served actually a smaller area with a couple cities just in Northeast Dade, North Miami Beach, Aventura, and some in North Miami. I was a state representative, and before that I grew my teeth as an elected official in North Miami Beach as a city councilwoman. So it's been over 30 years in elected public office, but really, you know, that's like half my lifetime, because my entire life it's been instilled from my parents. You give back to make something better, and public service is an excellent way to do it. So whether it's civic, whether it's charitable, whether it's religious, whether it's political, you give back as a public servant, which means putting the public first. So I've always embraced it, liked it, and you know, which brought me to a conversation we had recently that said the times are changing. It's so difficult to encourage people to get engaged in civic and political activities because it's so partisan. It's sort of nasty as a prerequisite for running for office. Have the stamina to be strong and mean if you need to, and a lot of money. And that shouldn't be the focus of it. It really should be a commitment to wanting to engage in a passion you have for making something better. And it comes at all different levels for all of us, whether it's family outreach within our own homes or religious institutions, even our condo boards, but that can really get political. But the thing is giving back. And you know, what I love about most especially being back home and elected office here is forever, I would say, local government is where we implement everything. And it really isn't nonpartisan. And it really shouldn't be gang influence. And it really shouldn't be expensive, because you can focus on your everyday issues. It's right there in front of you. The people are right in your present situation, whether it's going to the grocery store at Publix or my synagogue or down the block when I'm walking the dog. You catch a sense, a beat of what's going on, and you listen to the people instead of all this other craziness going on where people have turned politics into enemy tactics, and they're not running for office, they're running against somebody else. And it's quite disheartening. And I'm on the end of my last term. I got 2 more years till 2022. And I'm just hoping it tones down. Even on our own dais, it's getting a little bit cranky at times. But I'm seeing it more in my cities. Like I said, I represent 13. And I'm starting to see people align themselves, not to policy and to the people they serve, but with certain other voting members to have click votes and stuff like that. And I'm seeing it in campaigns. And I just find it disheartening. People love endorsements. I know I did when I was running. And finally I got off of it and I said, the only endorsement I'm seeking is the people I wish to serve, and focus back on them instead of who you can elect and banter with, because, you know, it basically puts us politicians, elected public servants, in a black eye zone, you know, and I'm seeing it now. I have two of my colleagues at the county commission, and we are nonpartisan, that are running for the same seat. Originally, it was 4 of them for strong mayor. Then it dropped to 3, and then on the runoff, it's between 2 of them. And I'm the only person who chose not to endorse, because I know how I'm voting privately. I know how my district voted, but you know, something at the end of the day, it's what's going to be best for the district. And you know, something, I trust the wise voters who put me in office to be reflective, to look at their best interest and issues and see who's going to meet it. And then definitely vote. So I'm trying to be social responsible, and I actually forgot my vote mask. So one of my staff did a personal add-on one instead of my other one that goes with that.
I have my
breast cancer month and breast cancer month.
I have my necklace, both.
There you go. That's it. So anyways, it's important. We're coming down to crunch time. Hopefully everyone who needed to register got registered. And next week we start early voting. The opportunities are there for everybody. I have confidence in our U.S. postal system. I'm discouraged by what's being passed on from the executive office at the federal level on disparaging statements about mail-in votes and everything. But the irony is he did a mail-in vote with his wife as Palm Beach residents. I just encourage you to do your ballot if you're a mail-in absentee voter, and you can get it in as soon as possible, and you can track it and make sure that they got it, because it's registered, not opening, but just a barcode with your name on the back of it and say, I just want to make sure you got it. You call the elections department.
And also you can drop it on Monday, as soon as early voting starts, there will be a drop-off box from the elections office right there. For example, in Aventura is the Aventura Library. You can drop it there. If you have any doubts on the mail, you can go and drop it there.
And no line, you just say, I'm here to drop the ballot. And if you have your photo ID or something, they can do a matchup and put matched up, and it doesn't even have to be checked when it gets to elections. So it's there in Northeast Dade, and also the North Miami Municipal Library in the city of North Miami. Those are the 2 early voting in District 4, Northeast Dade. But you have 30-something of them throughout Dade County, including the 111 building. Wherever there's early voting now, you can drop it off and make sure, but get it in early, because the mail is slow and it's clogged with all the campaign rhetoric, but informing people, hopefully on the positive side,
yes,
of what the candidate is about. You know, way back, there used to be an issue, it always is an issue, where people will say, hey, I heard you said such and such. And I said, well, count on it, rely on it if you heard it from me. But if not, don't cast any value to it, because at the end of the day, unless I'm designating one of my staff to cover for me or something in writing, I'll speak for myself. So if someone else is going to tout it, be cautious. I mean, look at us at this age of the game. A lot of us are seasoned. Many of you came from other places, Tammany Hall and Burroughs and stuff like that. And you had great political clout. I grew up watching the clout in Northeast Dade with Annie Ackerman and Ginger Grossman and all these other people who literally had the influence to bring in presidential candidates because they would amass public activists in their audience, and then we'd go back and speak to people we congregate with, whether it was in our neighborhood or a certain civic club or whatever, and share what we heard from the candidate themselves about what they were going to do for what we prioritized as our issues. And I so miss that. Instead of trashing the other person or alienating them with alliances, my biggest concern is, what are you going to do? I actually had an elected official in one of my cities who didn't know, after being encouraged to run for office because she had a very good popular name, she didn't realize that she was going to have to go to meetings every 2 weeks. She didn't realize that she was going to have a manager's meeting to be versed on things and a pre-meeting. And she just thought she could vote certain ways, certain times, but didn't conceptually understand the obligations to representing the people of that city. And that's alarming. And I know we're better than that. I know we are because I serve you. And we take your issues and interests seriously. And that's what we should be voting for. I hate that it's come to, on some elections, a single issue for a candidate, when everything else that smacks us in the face of quality of life or indifference to it are being avoided or dismissed because of one position taken. So, you know, I encourage the intellect of a community with the compassion of why people who are good are genuinely running for office, and embrace it. Instead of, I have a couple of cities where they're running as a team. And it's like, I think the only one that they should be accountable to is the voter, the individual voters on each checkoff category that reflects what they want. And no one's running as a package deal in anything that I know of, except maybe the president and vice president. And when we had our last governor's race, it's a governor and a a lieutenant governor, sorry. I think those are the only package deals we have. Even the cabinet tries to maintain its independence. So, you know, especially for those of us who are elders, I'm actually in the senior citizen zone now, just remember the decades of voting and the institutional knowledge we have on our democracy and the principles that we adhere to, that we like to see when we cast a ballot. Hopefully we're going to invoke it on those people we elect. You know, they need to be accountable to the constituents. I can speak for myself. I've managed to kill my own bill, not once, but twice, because I gave my word and then realized early on, it's a democracy and politics change things, and I couldn't keep it. So my word was more important than my legislation, and I withdrew it. And I brought it back the next year when I could set the proper parameters and keep my word. And, you know, that was a difficult time for me because I felt I had an obligation to move forward with the legislation. But at the end of the day, the character obligation of keeping your word was more important. So when you can go to the pitch of the individual, not for political expediency, but I think for who they genuinely are, what type of people they are before they were in office, when they get off the dais, if they're already in office. I think that is an incredible measuring tool. And I got to tell you one other thing that is sort of a nice thing to evolve from this crazy time. I thought you know, my feelings weren't unique, but I didn't know if they were echoed across any territory. I speak to other elected officials all the time, including people from your city. But I was wondering how it resonated with others. And someone that I never served with, but was in the legislature decades before me, they created a new group called Former Florida Legislators for Good Government. And it's mostly Democrats because we're taking a position on the executive office at the federal level. But there's Republicans too, because the pitch is bipartisanship, policy and people over politics, collaboration, cooperation, and it's so lacking at the state level with the legislature. The partisan bickering is building not lines in the sand, but walls. You can't caucus together. You can't meet together. They don't encourage you to support each other's legislation. And it's shameful. In the old days, we used to dine together. As an early politician, my first race, there was 5 of us for one race. I never said who I was running against. I always said the seat I was running for. And there were other people in the race also. And it's so changed. And you sit back and you say, well, this is probably why they don't like politicians. This is probably why good people don't want to start looking to invest in the office. And the invest should be a family commitment that supports you, supporting your run. And some money, it takes it. But most especially the time that it involves, because it includes your friends, your family, your community in engaging with you. And it just seems to be cast aside now. And it's shameful, Gladys, because there's a bunch of us that are still hoping in our tenure it will swing back, but it's not likely because ugly seems to prevail. And it really is sad. So
that is really sad. But Talia, I want to ask you something. You were the pioneer of the Bright Line coming to Aventura. So tell us a little bit, because one of my things is the economic recovery. I've been supporting small businesses in the city because it's all about now getting jobs, getting people to work, getting small businesses up and running and doing well. And the economic growth of the Bright Line is optimistic. So can you tell us, because you were the champion on it?
Well, it started longer ago, actually before I ever got to be a commissioner. I was still on the legislature, and it was called the Northeast Corridor Coalition for South Florida. It was Dade, and it involved me, and I got to pick 15 people from Miami-Dade, but preferably not too many politicians. And then Broward with then Representative Stacy Ritter, and then Palm Beach with Jeff Koons from the commission. And we started looking at the rail because we are so dense and so congested for such a blessed community that is coastline up here. When we need to go north and south, we're in gridlock, and there's no more area to build out our roads. So the one alternative was the FEC corridor. And so we started working when it was still under the handle of the FEC, before it became All Aboard, then before it became Bright Line, then Virgin Bright Line, now back to Bright Line, but it was still the FEC corridor. So they were already in the makings for downtown Miami, downtown Fort Lauderdale, downtown Palm Beach, and on to Orlando. And so with the commitment of Aventura, because we desperately needed a spot that really would work, not just on population need, because we have it down the track, but also the FTA, because not only are we densely populated here, we have attractions that bring a dense population. and it doesn't get any finer than what I think is one of the best shopping malls in Southeast, and definitely in South Florida as a Floridian, Aventura Mall. But for all of us who live around here, I avoid it if I have to shop from November, because it seems like Christmas shopping starts in October already now. But from through January, the crowds that fabulous mall brings into the area, and then the commuting and the snowbirds and such like that. There's no rush hour. It's rush congestion all the time. So it was an easy pitch. All 13 of my cities embraced it, as well as my colleague to the south, Edmondson. She had City of Miami, and so she got that city engaged. And the what do you call it? The island, Miami Beach, and Bal Harbor, Bay Harbor, Surfside, Indian Creek, Sunny Isles Beach, and Golden Beach. Everybody embraced it. And so the stop here was a natural. And Sofer from Turnberry agreed to help on the funding, as did the sitting commission. Gladys, you were one of the votes. To support a stop here, we're going to pay for the county with Brightline connector from the Nordstrom garage at the mall, so people can be in the mall and come across, and we can get people from the Ogis area and the link ups from North Miami Beach and the trolleys and everything to drop off at Ogis, because that's where the rail is, and then go up a passageway, an elevated passageway, like they have on US 1, like they have over in front of Dolphin Stadium, Hard Rock at 199, and it allows commuters to get on it, both properties, and take the train. And so we're excited about it. And not too many people know what Ogis in UMSA is, but they all know what Aventura is.
Correct.
So Aventura area stop, and it should be ready next year, 2021. And that's for whether you commute downtown or want to go to a Heat game, the Arch for entertainment, as well as the Frost and the Pan Museum for Art. And it's exciting.
In 15 minutes.
Huh?
In 15 minutes with no traffic.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have a couple stops. We're still working on the last touches of it as I sit at a messy desk, because now it's the priority with the pandemic was, instead of a regional train, it's now focused on commuter. So our next one, because it's private dollars for the platform station stop, will be 151. Because it meets all the criteria. And then another one, private dollars. I'll be Sofer and Lafrac from Solomia, because they got the courthouse, the public schools, Solomia, FIU. We're all committed to it. And then Design District has committed the private money, and Wynwood has too. So we have multiple track stops, and we're going to see it in our lifetime.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get to see it. Sally, one last question. Sure. I know a lot of people wanted, they voted and it didn't pass, to do the unincorporated side of what's Highland Lakes.
Yes.
And a lot of people didn't understand what they were voting for.
Or against.
Yeah. Or against. So yeah. I wish they were. Can you tell us a little bit about that part?
Well, this is briefly, this is a donor community up here. They pay more in taxes than the services they get. I remember when Aventura was swampland and undeveloped as a little kid, and then it became a wonderful area, and they wanted first and foremost to get a better return for their tax dollars, but also to have their own municipal police department instead of branching out to far distances where the calls would dictate more police officers be dedicated to. Aventura, like other areas over here, are not high crime areas. And so the response time, they'd have to get the officers to come from other areas. So it was great, and the same thing happened with Sunny Isles area. It became Sunny Isles Beach City. Well, this area, there was great interest, but there was also a campaign that said no. And, you know, we, instead of selling the virtues of getting a better return with 28 more officers in the area and only work in this area for the same value, and the people just, it was a campaign against misinformation. And at the end of the day, to stay status quo remained. I was happy to hear that so many people said they were happy with county services. Well, that's good. And it also is reflective of my office, and I have very responsive and responsible staff, and we're very accessible. So that's a nice credit. But I have term limits, and I'm going to be gone. And so the county service is only one representative county-wide for this entire area. And it's split between 13 of us and all the services. So when some of them feel like they're not getting their fair share, well, it's all measured in. And this was a pocket. So, but I'm happy they're happy with me. I'm going to maintain the same integrity and serving and responsiveness. And I have fabulous staff, and we're here in the district. So we're working through the pandemic, and we're here to take care of you. And no one's going to be a stepchild in my district, whether you're one of the 13 cities or a couple little, we call them donut holes or unincorporated areas. They're equal in our eyes of deserving service when they call their government. And the next person elected can maybe opt it out if they want to look into it, but I'm happy to focus on other issues, a new courthouse, of course, our commuter rail, redoing the criminal justice information system, and rehabbing by replacing one of our jails is 61 years old and can't pass the 40-year inspection. They're inefficient, and we could do better and save money. And of course, opening my champion of mental health, who was a guy who grew up around here, Steve Leifman, Judge Steve Leifman, and his mental health facility. I appreciate you showcasing the choo-choo and some other things I've done. It's a statement that says we're in the we're actually in the position of serving the public. Some things are long-term, and I worry about short-term term limits. People in elected office may not vision things that will take a long time. They'll go for low-hanging fruit, but it goes back to the voters. The power's with you to be intelligent, look at what people have done, look at statements made. Don't believe in promises, because in a democracy, you need the majority to make it happen.
Correct.
And be wise and vote, 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 vote. Vote by mail, vote early, or vote election day. And I'll be out at the polls monitoring it and hoping for the best.
Sally, I really want to thank you, not only for being here today, but also for sharing your wisdom, which is something that I've learned from you.
It depends on if you buy into it. You may say it's wisdom.
Oh, but your integrity, integrity always has been something that has inspired me.
Well, so, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. And to you, Gladys, as moderator and facilitator, this is several times I've been on this or charity event you've championed. To all of our constituents, be safe and healthy. And if you look at the surroundings, this is October, this is National Breast Cancer Month. On the 17th, we're doing a virtual drive around. I am, by the grace of God and being educated by my mother, who was a breast cancer survivor, to check and prevent. I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I hope you all remain in great health, not only for the virus, Breast Cancer Month, and other causes.
Thank you, Sally.
Thank you. I wish you the best, Gladys.
Thank you.